A grand house stands tall in the English countryside, a place where time itself seems to pause. Behind its walls live a family and their loyal servants, each carrying secrets, hopes, and dreams. This is Downton Abbey, a world of elegance and duty, of love and loss, where tradition meets change in the most dramatic of ways. As we look back at Downton Abbey, a new era, we step into the heart of a story that captured millions. A story now moving toward its final chapter on the big screen. Downton Abbey is more than a television series. It is a cultural treasure that shaped the way audiences across the world saw period drama. When it first appeared on screens, no one could have imagined how quickly it would win hearts. At the center of it all was the Crawley family living inside a grand estate that was both beautiful and full of rules. Their world reflected not only wealth and privilege, but also the daily struggles of those who worked tirelessly below the grand halls. The balance between upstairs and downstairs, between family members and their loyal staff, created stories that were intimate yet universal. What made Downton Abbey stand apart was not just the setting, but the people. Every character, no matter how small, had a voice that mattered. Lady Mary, strong and determined, carried the weight of leadership. Lady Edith, often overlooked, grew into her own power and independence. The Earl of Grantham struggled with his love for tradition while facing the winds of change. And of course, the sharp wit and wisdom of Violet, the Dowager Countess, brought laughter and truth in equal measure. On the other side, the household staff became just as beloved. Carson with his deep loyalty, Mrs. Hughes with her steady hand, and Anna and Bates with their enduring love. Together, they made the world of Downton Abbey feel alive, layered, and real. But Downton Abbey was never only about characters. It was about time. The story began in the early 20th century and moved through events that reshaped society. From the sinking of the Titanic, to the struggles of the First World War, to the Roaring Twenties and beyond, every season brought history into the lives of the Crawleys. Change was everywhere, and the characters could never stand still. The estate itself became a symbol of survival in a world that kept moving forward. Would Downton Abbey stay the same or fall to the pressures of modern life? That question hung in the air across every season and later in the films. When the series ended, fans thought they had said goodbye. Yet the story found new life on the big screen. The first film gave audiences a taste of grandeur, with the King and Queen of England visiting Downton. The family and staff rose to the occasion, reminding viewers of the pride and joy that this estate inspired. It was not just a story about an aristocratic household. It was about the bonds between people, the way they supported one another, and the dignity they carried through every trial. That film proved that Downton Abbey's story was not finished. This led us into Downton Abbey, a new era, a film that dared to explore even more. It was both familiar and fresh, bringing beloved characters back to the screen while introducing new settings and challenges. As the title promised, it was about moving into a new time, while still holding on to what made Downton Abbey unforgettable. It set the stage for the emotional journey that would bring us to the grand finale. The story of Downton Abbey. A new era begins, not with silence, but with the sound of change knocking at the great doors of the estate. Once a house defined by tradition, Downton suddenly finds itself swept into the glamorous yet uncertain world of cinema. Lady Mary, practical and forward-looking, allows a film crew to use the Abbey as their stage. This decision shocks some and excites others, for what could be more daring than inviting strangers into sacred halls that once echoed only with the footsteps of family and servants? The clash between the world of Hollywood and the world of English aristocracy sets the tone for an unforgettable journey. The arrival of actors, directors, and cameras turns Downton into a place alive with both chaos and wonder. The staff, who have spent years perfecting the order of daily life, now find themselves surrounded by costumes, spotlights, and endless questions about how a film should be made. Carson, the ever-proud butler, looks on with suspicion, worried that such intrusion disrespects the dignity of the Abbey. Yet younger staff members see it differently, their eyes lit with curiosity as they watch silent stars transformed into figures of magic. In this collision of two worlds, Downton becomes more than a home. It becomes a stage where history and fantasy walk side by side. But while the estate fills with cameras, another story unfolds far away, beneath the bright skies of the French Riviera. The Crawley family receives news of a mysterious inheritance left to Violet, the Dowager Countess. A villa, beautiful and sun-soaked, suddenly belongs to her, though the reasons behind this gift remain wrapped in secrecy. To uncover the truth, part of the family travels to France. There, among vineyards and seaside breezes, they face questions about the past, about love and choices that Violet never shared. This journey is not only about discovering a house, it is about discovering the hidden chapters of a matriarch's life. The film carefully balances these two tales. In England, the struggle between old tradition and modern entertainment unfolds. In France, the family seeks answers about loyalty, legacy, and identity. Together, these parallel stories show what Downton Abbey has always been about: the pull between past and future, between what must change and what must be protected. Lady Mary, in charge of hosting the film crew, must prove that she can carry the weight of leadership, while also showing compassion for those around her. In France, the rest of the family learns that even those who seem unshakable, like Violet, have lived with secrets, regrets, and tender memories. What makes a new era powerful is not simply the drama, but the emotion layered beneath every scene. The clash of film stars and aristocrats could have been played as comedy, yet it reveals something deeper: that even the most respected traditions must adapt or fade. Meanwhile, the villa in France is not just a gift. It is a reminder that life is full of hidden choices, and that even legends like Violet had chapters unknown to her children. These discoveries remind the Crawleys and the audience that no one truly knows the full story of another person's life, no matter how close they seem. As the two threads move forward, we see the Crawleys once again facing what they have faced since the beginning: the unstoppable march of time. Every change, whether welcomed or resisted, reshapes them. And in these moments, Downton Abbey, a new era, prepares us for the inevitable truth. The story we love is nearing its end, and every scene feels like both a continuation and a farewell. In France, the light is different. It spills over stone villas, dances across gardens, and settles into the blue of the sea. Yet for the Crawleys, that brightness carries shadows of the past. When the family arrives to see the villa left to Violet, questions immediately take root. Why would a man who was not family leave such a grand gift to her? What story of love, of loyalty, of hidden bonds lies beneath this inheritance? The mystery pulls everyone into reflection. For Violet has always been the sharp tongue of Downton, the unshakable Dowager Countess whose wit could cut through any room. To think that even she had a secret chapter is both unsettling and moving. Inside the villa, memories come alive through silence, more than words. Every hallway seems to whisper. Every corner holds an unspoken truth. The family does not find scandal, but something far richer: the reminder that Violet was once young, once full of choices and chances, just like them. For Robert, the Earl, this discovery challenges his image of his mother, forcing him to see her not only as the indomitable head of the family, but as a woman who lived, loved, and kept her past guarded. This moment in France does what Downton Abbey has always done best. It shows that even in grandeur, humanity is fragile and deeply personal. While France unveils these revelations, Downton back home turns into a theater of its own. Cameras roll through the drawing rooms, dialogue is rehearsed, and suddenly the Abbey, once the heartbeat of aristocratic order, becomes a living film set. The grandeur of the house collides with the artifice of cinema. Silent actors try to deliver lines, but the rise of talkies demands a new approach. The production is in chaos until Lady Mary, with her calm strength, steps in to guide it. She saves not just the film but also Downton's dignity, proving that her leadership is more than symbolic. She becomes the protector of both the family name and the estate's future. Between the villa's secrets and the Abbey's transformation, two truths emerge. First, that no one, not even Violet, can control how time reshapes lives. Second, that survival means adaptation. For Violet, her past comes to light in the warmth of the French sun. For Lady Mary, her resolve shines in the glow of movie lights. Together, these parallel stories show us that change is not something to resist. It is something to carry with pride. The beauty of this chapter is its honesty. It does not present the Crawleys as untouchable. Instead, it shows them as people, caught in history's tide, learning how to let go of old certainties and embrace what lies ahead. The villa in France is not just a house. It is a symbol of memory, of the secret lives that exist even within families. And the film crew at Downton is not just a nuisance. It is a symbol of progress, of the future forcing its way through heavy doors. Both stories remind us that no matter how grand the walls, life will always find a way to move forward. And so, as a new era unfolds, we feel the steady drumbeat of farewell in the distance. The sunlit villa, the cameras in the drawing room, the laughter, the tension. All of it feels like a prelude to goodbye. For Downton Abbey, the new era is not only about change. It is about preparing us, gently and beautifully, for the moment when the story itself must end. Every story has a center, a moment where time slows down and every word, every glance, carries a weight that lingers long after the scene fades. In Downton Abbey, a new era, that center belongs to Violet, the Dowager Countess. For years, she has been the spark of wit and wisdom in the halls of Downton. Her words could sting, but they also carried truths that no one else dared to speak. She was the anchor of tradition, the voice of an older world that often resisted change. And yet beneath the sharpness, there was warmth, a love for family that guided her every choice. As the story moves forward, it becomes clear that Violet is nearing the end of her journey. Her presence is as commanding as ever, but shadows gather. In quiet moments, she speaks with Lady Mary, offering guidance for the future, reminding her that leadership is not about holding on, but about knowing when to let go. These conversations carry a tenderness that feels like a passing of the torch. For Violet, the Abbey is not just a house, it is a legacy, and she trusts Mary to guard it, not by keeping it frozen in time, but by letting it breathe and evolve. The film treats these final moments with care, almost like a whispered prayer. Violet does not leave in spectacle. Instead, her farewell is woven with grace. Surrounded by family, she exits not as a grand countess but as a beloved mother and grandmother. Her sharp tongue softens, her eyes reveal all the unspoken love she carried, and in her final breath, the house feels her absence. This is not just a character's goodbye. It is a goodbye to the spirit that defined Downton Abbey from the beginning. What makes this farewell so powerful is not only the loss, but the way it reshapes those who remain. Robert, who once clung to tradition, must now accept that even the strongest pillars fall. Mary, steady and unflinching, realizes the full weight of responsibility she carries. The staff, who for decades lived under Violet's watch, feel the silence in the corridors. The family gathers, united not by title or duty but by love and memory. It is a moment that feels larger than fiction. It feels like the audience itself is being asked to say goodbye. And yet Violet's legacy is not sadness. Her humor, her wisdom, her daring spirit live on in every choice the family makes. Her farewell is bittersweet, but it reminds us that endings are also beginnings. The Abbey does not crumble in grief. It stands taller, filled with echoes of her laughter and her words. Through Violet, the story tells us that death is not an end to love. It is a passing of light, from one generation to the next, a flame carried forward so the house will never stand in darkness. As the camera lingers on Downton, the audience feels the weight of history pressing gently on their hearts. This is not just a farewell to Violet, it is the beginning of the final act for everyone. A reminder that the world of Downton Abbey, like life itself, cannot stand still. Time moves, seasons change, and with each change comes both loss and renewal. Downton Abbey has always stood as a symbol of endurance. Its stone walls, its endless corridors, its manicured grounds all suggest permanence. Yet as a new era unfolds, it becomes clear that permanence is an illusion. Every figure who walks those halls is touched by time, and every tradition they cling to is tested by change. This film captures that truth in ways both subtle and bold. Inside the Abbey, the film crew's presence reminds everyone that the world outside is no longer waiting for them to catch up. Cinema has become the voice of the future, speaking to crowds far beyond the drawing rooms of England. The staff, once resigned to lives of service, now glimpse new possibilities. They see actors chasing dreams, directors shaping visions, and technology breaking barriers. For some, it is a spark of hope. For others, it is a reminder that the world they know may soon vanish. Lady Mary feels this most sharply. She knows the Abbey cannot remain a relic. It must find ways to stay alive in a society that no longer worships titles and tradition. Meanwhile, in France, the mystery of Violet's villa echoes with a deeper meaning. The Crawleys are forced to confront the reality that even their most unshakable matriarch carried secrets, passions, and choices that shaped the family's destiny. The sunlight of the Riviera contrasts with the shadows of uncertainty. It is beautiful, but it is also haunting, as if reminding them that nothing lasts forever, not even the people who seem immortal. What begins to emerge is a quiet urgency. Every character senses that a chapter is closing. Edith, once defined by longing, now finds strength in her independence. Tom Branson, once an outsider, now stands as a son of the house, embodying the future of unity between classes. Even the staff, from Daisy to Mrs. Hughes, carry themselves with a new sense of pride, knowing their lives are more than roles of service. Each storyline pushes toward one truth: Downton Abbey must adapt or fade. The film builds this tension with care. Conversations are no longer casual. They feel like echoes, as if characters know they may not speak this way again. Glances linger longer. Laughter carries a hint of sorrow. Even celebrations feel touched by the knowledge that they cannot last. This is the genius of a new era. It entertains, but it also prepares us. It lays a path that leads not only to the film's conclusion, but toward the grand finale that now waits in theaters. Downton Abbey has always been about more than wealth or grandeur. It has been about survival, about people, family and staff alike, learning to find their place in a changing world. In this chapter, that theme is louder than ever. It whispers through every room, every line, every smile and tear. The Abbey is not ending, but it is transforming. And in that transformation lies both pain and hope. By the time the credits near, the audience feels it too. Something has shifted. The story is still alive, but it is leaning into farewell, into the weight of its final bow. And with every heartbeat, the stage is set for what comes next, the grand finale, where all these threads will finally converge. The walls of Downton have seen triumph, loss, and countless changes, but in a new era there is a silence that feels different. It is the silence before a curtain falls, the pause before the final act begins. Every conversation, every farewell, every smile tinged with sorrow carries a sense of destiny. The Crawleys and their staff know it, and the audience feels it too. This is no longer just another chapter. This is the march toward the end. The film lingers on the weight of time. We watch Lady Mary walk through the halls, her voice calm yet firm, her presence stronger than ever. She has become the heart of the Abbey, the bridge between its past and its uncertain future. Every decision she makes is not just for herself. It is for the generations who will follow, for the house that has stood as a symbol of endurance. Mary embodies the truth that tradition can survive, but only if it learns to breathe in the air of change. In France, the family absorbs Violet's secrets, and in doing so, they also absorb her lesson. Life is not about perfection, but about the choices we make in the moments we are given. For Robert, this revelation softens him, teaching him that even he cannot control everything. For Edith, it reaffirms her independence. For Tom, it cements his role as a bridge between old and new worlds. These moments are not random. They are steps in a farewell dance, each one preparing us for the last bow. The suspense grows not through battles or grand twists, but through emotion. We know endings are near, and every scene is painted with the question, Who will carry the torch when the lights of Downton begin to dim? It is not a question of walls or wealth, but of spirit. The Abbey will stand, but what of the people who gave it life? Visually, the film reminds us of this tension. Grand celebrations feel fragile, as if they might vanish in an instant. Laughter echoes like memory. Even the sun setting behind the Abbey feels symbolic, as though the house itself knows that its story is nearing its final verse. The audience is left on edge, not because of what is happening in the moment, but because of what they know is coming next. The stage is now fully set. The Crawleys have faced the modern world. Secrets have been revealed. Goodbyes have been spoken. And the Abbey has adapted once more. Yet beneath all of this lies the pulse of something greater. The finale. The last time the Crawleys and their devoted staff will gather on screen. The last chapter in a story that began more than a decade ago. The suspense is not about shock or danger. It is about farewell. It is about standing at the edge of something beloved and knowing the next step is the final one. And as the screen fades, the promise is clear. The grand finale will not simply close a story. It will close an era. Every story must end, even the ones we wish could go on forever. Downton Abbey. A new era gave us joy, laughter, and tears, but it also gave us something more. A promise. A promise that the world we have loved for so long would not simply fade, but would conclude with dignity, with grace, and with love. Now that promise is fulfilled as the grand finale arrives. This is not just another visit to Downton. It is the last gathering, the final turning of keys in those great oak doors, the final voices echoing through the halls. Every character we have followed for years, family and staff alike, returns to stand together one last time. The Crawleys, once defined by tradition, now embrace change. The staff, once silent in the background, now shine with pride. Every story finds its closing note. Every heart finds its farewell. And yet, the finale is not only about endings. It is about legacy. Violet's wisdom lives on in Mary's strength. Robert's devotion lives on in his children. The laughter of the staff, the struggles they overcame, live on in every corner of the Abbey. This house, which has stood as a symbol of history, now stands as a symbol of memory. Its walls hold the stories of people who loved deeply, lost painfully, and endured bravely. Through them, Downton Abbey becomes more than fiction. It becomes a reflection of life itself. As the curtain falls, the audience feels both sorrow and gratitude. Sorrow, because we must say goodbye to a world that felt like home. Gratitude, because we were allowed to walk its halls, share its secrets, and witness its joys. This finale is not just the end of a drama. It is a final gift, a chance to say farewell with honor. And now the moment is here. The grand finale of Downton Abbey, a story more than a decade in the making, awaits you. Do not miss the chance to see the Crawleys and their devoted staff in their final chapter. On the big screen where every glance, every tear, every word carries the weight of farewell. The end of an era is upon us. Downton Abbey will never return, but it will never truly leave us either. It lives in memory, in legacy, in the hearts of those who watched. One last time the doors open. One last time the music rises. One last time the Abbey stands before us. Downton Abbey, the grand finale. Only in theaters, September 12th.